what to do with my hands when I'm not doing this stuff.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, be careful.
We're good.
We're live.
Episode 30.
Episode 30.
We're 30 episodes deep.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Welcome back to the Volly House Podcast here at Kulka Studios. So if you need a firehouse built, give them a call. Go to the volleyhousepodcast.com to ask us questions or send in stories or videos you'd like us to review. Also, give us a follow on all social media platforms at Volly House Podcast. And we will get right into iCommand Board. Every video we see from a career department incident shows an incident command board on scene. Yet, in many NIOSH LODD reports, a recurring finding is a lack of proper incident command. As a chief in the volunteer fire service, your responsibility is to ensure the safety of everyone operating at every incident. Gone are the days of managing this in your head or on a simple whiteboard. The owner of iCommand Board, a volunteer fire chief, took this challenge head-on by developing a professional tool tailored for volunteer fire officers. These command boards are designed with size, affordability, and most importantly, accountability at the forefront. Packed with critical information and checklists, they're built to help you stay organized and focused at every event. Visit iCommandBoard.com today and take the next step in ensuring the safety and success of your department.
Yep. Can I see the book, Kev?
Man,
Surely. So we got
fumbled.
Our department, we got these on every truck. This book.
That's good.
Because if you're IC, if you're an officer and you have to be IC, this is kind of like
Hot Pocket money. They're cheap. No, I'm just kidding.
a quality product. Is it not?
No, it's a great product. I love it.
That way, if you're just an officer and you got to run IC, you kind of have like a whole cheat sheet of things. What's in a residential commercial?
Then he's got these lay-ins that you can add that are for particular things. He's working on a high-rise one, but there's an MCI, brush fire, hazmat, so it's individualized for certain particular topics.
Yeah, this is actually great.
And he also has another one of these that you can actually buy and just stick it in your car like under a laminated piece of glass, which is pretty neat. So if you already have it built into the back of your command car, you can just slide one of these things in there.
Right.
Which is pretty neat as well.
This is great because this is good perspective. Because if you pull up as, I was thinking about this today, because I remember.
You were thinking about firefighting during the day?
I was thinking about it. And I shaved for all the.
You shaved? That's shaving?
For all the. I did, yeah. The way this is laid out is great. I've never actually got a chance to read this. But
It's easy to read through, too,
yeah,
which is great.
Fire on blank side of a blank story, residential, commercial, dimensions, occupants in or out, command post on.
That's part of your size up right there. So
Yeah.
like when you transmit on the radio, if it's written in front of you, like on a cheat sheet, whether you use paper or you use something like that, now you just read it word for word over the radio so you sound like you know what you're talking about.
So it made me think about this today. I was looking at some of our audience data, and I think, 24 to 35 is the biggest percentage of our, viewership. Where that age is probably your second lieutenants through captain,
Yeah.
right?
I'd say
Some
so.
could be chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even
25 through
chief.
35.
Yeah, true, yeah.
A lot of chiefs in that range too.
So, yeah, having these on our trucks, that just kind of,
No, having
full
anything
circle.
in front of you to kind of guide you where you're headed is a great thing.
Speaking of viewership, did you did you see that guy that was commenting on Instagram?
No.
Shout out my guy
which
Goose.
guy?
I got to read these comments because they're hilarious.
I'm
guy-
commenting on what?
On just like our clips on Instagram. So I was switching over to our.
I'll be honest, the notifications are so out of control, I stopped
Yeah,
looking
well,
at
so
them.
what happened? I saw like a chat come through, so I opened it up, and then when I clicked like the home button or whatever, I see 11 comments, and I'm like, oh, like something must be popping off, and it was this one guy just commenting on all the different like videos, and I got to pull some up because they were like really funny.
Well, some of the comments are just,
Well, not for nothing. This is a.
some of it's great.
It's like a fake profile.
Those are the
always
best.
a
So
few
this
of
one,
those.
he
You get the
goes,
best engagement from
He
those.
goes, this one, maybe if you jerk offs didn't volunteer, they would pay people to do the
I
job.
saw that one, yep.
Stop trying to play grown up. And then somebody like went
On
back
what
at
post?
him.
I don't even see it.
I'm going through the ones. Here's a couple of good ones.
Well,
He
you know,
goes,
there's
this
two
one-
sides to that, obviously.
He got for the suspended or not. He kept writing tattletale and douche. And then the one he goes loser. He's like, I'm sure his family is happy because he tillered. And then he wrote. There's one comment. He goes,
Who's that to Greg?
yeah. And then he goes. One of the comments. He goes, why does everyone have bad haircuts? I'm like,
I
that
usually
is.
get cop hair, you know. He's got cop hair.
Yeah. I was like, that is fantastic.
Goose, how much do you weigh?
Yeah.
That's the first question.
It says his. I like clicked on his profile because I'm like, who is this guy? And it just says Daniel.
Yeah,
I think.
Blank.
Yeah, but it's like kind of hard to troll a firefighting page.
Some
We've heard it
people do.
all.
People do.
We've heard everything, man.
I love
Well,
it.
some of the comments are spot on, and then others are just, you know, people that just want to bitch and moan. And whatever.
Oh yeah, but that
You know,
that stuff.
Listen,
is,
not every jurisdiction or neighborhood can afford paid firefighters. You know, maybe partially paid or a combination works, but you gotta look at the overall plan of things. Now, if it could be done, and in some cases, if you streamlined and downsized and merged districts and stuff like that, you could probably save quite a bit of money. There are some places that we could merge. I do believe that, and have some across the county, but it's not going to work everywhere.
Oh, for sure.
It just won't.
douche.
Yeah. He just one of his douche.
I love
To
reading
what?
some of this stuff. It's great.
I don't know. It was when I was
Well,
reading through them.
the way you got to look at it is people
It's
are
Greg
listening.
talking about size up. He writes
douche. Yeah.
Listen, some people just look at clips. They don't even listen to the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
probably.
But if you
yeah.
listen to the whole episode, we talk about a lot more than just that little clip. We talk
Yeah,
about
no, this
everything.
is just some guy like behind like a fake Instagram,
Yeah,
but
of
like
course.
I love it,
At
though.
least he was saying like some funny shit because like otherwise I wouldn't care. But I'm like, this is actually some good stuff.
And there's the people
the-
that copy us, so that's all good too.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
You know what I
Speaking
don't
of
look
which.
at is the TikTok comments. There's more there.
oh yeah, I can't keep up with TikTok.
I'm, sure
I'm not
there's
even
funny
on
ones in
TikTok.
there. I don't even have my TikTok
Um,
app.
China's gonna steal my shit.
Let's get into suspended or not.
Oh, do we have to change that name? No, we're keeping that name. It is ours, suspended
ours.
or not.
Often imitated, never duplicated, right? What
So
they
I will
say.
say I did make a mistake in the last podcast. I did make a mistake. So we did talk about that battery storage system that exploded. It was in Surprise, Arizona, where those firefighters got injured. 4 firefighters with the battery storage system that exploded. So, sometimes I can't remember everything.
Okay.
I do make mistakes.
All right. We all do.
So, but
That's
it was
okay.
in Surprise, Arizona, if you want to look it up about what happened. But there was an explosion and 4 firefighters did get hurt.
Speaking of which, because that's
Speaking of which,
kind of a interesting.
You going to
name.
try to one up?
I was looking at. I saw this thing pop up. It was like interesting town names around the country.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at them, and some of them are like really interesting. So
Oh,
I'm like
there's
looking
some
up the fire
crazy
departments. Like
ones.
there's a place just called Hell.
Yep.
I think it's in Illinois.
Yep. Something like that.
You got like Surprise, Arizona, Cut and Shoot, Texas is a town.
Yeah, there's some oddball ones.
Intercourse,
Gayland.
Pennsylvania.
I've seen Gayland.
Yeah.
Even when you go state to state, like you go to some states and you look at like the name of businesses and you're in Texas and you're like looking at that and you're like, there is no way that could be a name of a business in New York. They would not allow it. It's just not going to happen.
Well, they have over by us the tranny man. Like I'm surprised no
Tranny
one,
man?
Yeah, I'm
Tranny
surprised no one knocked on his door and was like, change the name.
You better change the name.
You break, I fix.
That place. Use code VHP15 for 15% off Frontline Optics. This one is tough.
Tough.
Yeah. A higher ranking officer
Suspended.
was about to use a subordinate officer's office to hook up with another member's wife.
Let's
The
go.
subordinate
Hold on, wait, go back.
No, let him finish the thing.
the subordinate told the higher ranking officer to get out of the office. The subordinate was suspended for 2 weeks. I don't even know if I want to touch that one.
So it's
There's
like
a lot
a
of-
chief tells a cap. It's a company room, and the chief tells the captain, "Get out." Like not exact, but that's how it could be.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of
More like you
Tom
get out.
fuckery going on in that
Literally.
firehouse. Yeah.
I don't know if he should have been suspended. Someone should have.
Someone should have been suspended, not that guy, though. He was
So
trying
he
to do the right thing.
suspended the subordinate who told.
Who told him to get out of the room
get
because
out.
he saw that this guy was about to have an affair with another member's wife, which is insane to do on both their parts at the firehouse that your husband's a part of.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a wild one. You like that one,
Promoted.
Ryan?
Give him a promotion.
I'm sure it happens.
I mean,
Promoted or not.
Promoted or not. Oh, we're gonna come up with that's a new name. Promoted or not. That's a good one.
New segment, promoted or not. Yeah, now that suspended or not, it's been taken out of our grips. Promoted or not, that's a good one. That's what this should have been called.
Suspended.
Promoted. Appointed.
Yeah, appointed
Give
or
him,
not.
give him the spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with you on that, Phil. Somebody should have been suspended, and it probably should not have been this guy. So we'll just kind of hop off that one.
What's his at?
Yeah.
Where was
Is it a
that?
local department?
Yeah.
I have no idea if it was local or not.
Let's find out.
Job of the week.
Anyone having a tough time at home?
Yeah.
Anyone nearby?
Job of the week. There's been some good ones. Huntington had a good job. It looked like a garage extended into the house. That was
Yeah, I
looked
saw a
like it was-
picture of that.
Pictures looked like it was pumping out the front door.
Yeah, that was at
And
1
the windows.
o'clock. Was it yesterday, right?
Yeah. Levittown had another job. They had a second job.
Yeah, they've been
rocking.
Levittown.
I passed two car accidents.
I was
today.
away for a couple of days, so
Somebody had one. I think out east, Hampton. The
East-
Hamptons?
Hampton Bays.
Yeah,
Hampton
somebody
Bays
did,
had a
yeah.
job today.
I was checking out the Aruba Fire Department doing a water rescue drill. That's where
Did you give them the stickers?
No,
saw you
we were going
posting
by. We
stickers
were
all
going
over
by, and I
Aruba.
took a picture. I said,
Are you going to add that to the challenge?
I did. I will say it. And I was in the airport in Aruba buying alcohol, and guy, couple people ahead of me turns around after purchase, looks right at me, looks again. He goes, "Aren't you that guy from the Volly House Podcast?"
Aren't
And
you
I'm like,
that douche from the?
And I said, "Yes, I am." And he's like, "I follow every week. I'm from Westbury." So, so I said, "Hold on, I'll give you a couple stickers." I go through my bag, give him a couple stickers. But
Stickers. We got, I think, 1,200 stickers on the way.
nice.
I got those ones on the cup. And do we have this round one up here? I got a bunch. 600 of those. A couple hundred of
So
We gotta send a
we're
bunch of them up to
continuing
Canada.
we're going to continue our process. We haven't had anybody yet that has found one of our stickers that we put up. There's one in Nashville, actually a couple in Nashville, one in Montauk.
Yep.
And there's now one in Aruba. So find the sticker.
I've been
take
running
picture.
a lot. I got to start taking them when I go because I see them on corners. Like just people put stickers on corners of like crosswalks. So next time I go running, I'll
You pick up a lot of volleys out there, you know, on the streets, running. But there is one in Aruba now. So if they find that one, free T-shirt.
All right.
And we're working on some other giveaways with some other vendors, so we'll see where that goes. But we got some stuff coming into play.
Yes, we do.
You know what I was thinking about? Besides
you do a lot of thinking.
merch and other stuff. We're up to episode 30 in this room. We
In this room.
Oh, well, you guys did one episode at that restaurant.
Firehouse Restaurant.
Yep.
But we got to do something somewhere.
We're going
We
to.
talked about
said
the
we're gonna do
academy.
it.
I know.
Phil,
go
your
out to-
schedule is very tight. You're really
We got to go
hampered
out to
this.
the fire academy before because it's we're about to go into September, so we got like 2 more
Couple more
months
months.
really before they kind of shut everything down over
Yeah, I
there. So we
think,
should definitely
November,
get one.
early November.
Yeah,
But we can get out there.
yeah, I think that would be fun.
On
With
the
like
roof.
a bunch of departments out there doing a burn.
Sicilian had a good idea on a drill night where everyone's drilling all around
Yeah.
and like post up in the middle or something.
And somebody hits us with a deck gun.
Yeah, right.
I say on the roof of the taxpayer with it burning.
That's what I. Oh, there you go. With it
Smoke
burning.
all
First,
around us.
first one to bail
Oh,
out.
with the fucking. Don't put the plywood on top of the roof. The roof cut simulator things. Just let the
First to
frickin-
bail out. We'll
Yeah.
play first to bail out, you know.
How about drill of the week?
Drill of the week. We're doing a water rescue drill with Tech Rescue this Saturday, so we're gonna go over some water rescue stuff, which will be good.
Oh, you know what?
We
I
gotta
didn't go
use
to.
our inflatable boat, do some throw ropes, get out in the water.
There was my company didn't have the detail, but they did thermal imaging at the academy, which
Mm.
I didn't even know was a class at our academy.
Mm-hmm.
but supposedly it was good. I did
Yeah, it's a
that
good class.
at FDIC with Insight Fire Training. Those guys, I think they're from down south or out west.
Yeah.
But it was good.
We're running thermal imaging for the Joey D seminar too.
How
We have almost 400 people signed up for the Joey D
Nice.
already, and it's only 20 days into the month since
Wow.
we opened registration,
That's awesome.
which is incredible. So
How
we're
did
doing
you
well.
make out with that drill from the other week with the
We did a foam drill.
no, the one prior to that with the I think you had the gas meters
Oh, that went
drill?
great. Yeah,
It worked out.
Oh, it worked really well.
Awesome.
Yeah, we leaked some propane into the trailer, so they were getting readings. Actually, at one point when they were close to where the gas propane was coming in, they were getting 100% LEL right as it was coming. You know, when you get real close to it.
Oh,
But yeah, and then we did that. We did a gas spill. We had a saw turned over in the garage, so they went in, got readings with the gas, found the source, took care of that, and then the scenario at the end was we ran a generator, filled it with CO. So they went in, and then we put CO in the building, and then we put the generator outside, so like it was blowing towards the back door of the house. And obviously, you have a storm. If we got this hurricane running up the coast right now, but if people lose power, they run sometimes the generator too close to the building. So they went in, the meters masked up because they were getting high CO readings. Found out where the source was coming from, shut it down, ventilated, the whole process. So
You know what I
it was a
keep
good
forgetting
drill.
to do? Remember when Bobby told us to take a gallon of just water?
I did that in
pour
my
it on
foam
the
drill.
floor,
Yep.
so you can learn to gauge the amount of fuel. I keep
Oh,
forgetting.
yeah.
I just remembered that.
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah. I
try
used
that.
to do that in the firehouse sometimes. So when I did the foam training, was that a week ago? It was last Monday. Same thing. I took a 5-gallon pail, filled it up, dumped it on the ground, and we just talked about estimating spill sizes.
yeah, no, it's definitely a good drill.
It's a good drill.
I couldn't gauge that, especially if it was a lot. I could never.
Yeah,
It looks a lot more than 5 gallons when you look at it.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
it just it flattens out.
Just
yeah.
flattens out.
So we have a lot of topics today that were submitted last or earlier this week. The first one,
Well, did we get through all the ones from last week?
almost.
I saw you posted a thing today.
Yeah, that was that's where I got the suspended or not from. Separate staff versus fire officers. So president or chief. I don't know what they're getting at here, but these were I literally wrote these verbatim. So I know there's departments out there that have presidents,
Yes.
and then there's departments where the chiefs kind of run the game. Do you have any knowledge or experience on
So
that type of thing?
my department, we never had a department president. The chief basically was the president of the organization. We ran it that way for many, many years. And I know of other departments that do have a president. So the president runs the department meeting. The chief just gives a report. Because there are two sides to a volunteer service, right? You have the operational side, and then you have the social side. So there are many departments that have a president and a vice president, and they run the daily stuff, the social media, the social part of the department, the parties, all of that stuff, general finances, and then the chiefs run the operational side.
I thought it had something to do for the longest time with fire companies. Like fire companies typically had a president
I always
as
wondered that.
as opposed to
they
like a fire department.
Depends on how the organizational structure is set up. So, like with us, same thing. We have fire districts and fire departments and fire companies, fire brigades, and then you go to different states. Different states run differently too. Like they have multiple companies that run under one department, but they're total separate entities. And there's even departments like that on Long Island, especially in Nassau, where it's two separate fire companies but one department.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
some
I'm
have
aware
their
of it.
own chiefs. I believe it's, if I get this right, I believe it's Roslyn. They have the Roslyn Highlanders, the Roslyn Rescue. They're one fire department, but actually, no, they're two separate departments that run under one district.
Yes.
And the Highlanders chiefs are in charge for 6 months, and then the Roslyn Rescue chiefs are in charge for 6 months.
I didn't know that. That's how they ran. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
It's very interesting. And, they can still, respond to the same calls.
In
same
charge
area.
of what though? The whole, so
The incident.
the incident. Oh, okay.
There's
If
yeah,
there's an
there's
incident.
definitely there's a bunch of like split.
And then there's departments that have companies, you know, I know in New Jersey, for example, and there are other places in the country that run like this, where each firehouse elects up to a chief officer rank, and then they're like a deputy chief, and then there's an overall chief of department and assistant chief that are elected amongst the different firehouses. So like, you know, most, like my department, my company, we have second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, and then that's it. And then the chiefs get voted on by the overall department.
right, which I think
is
is mostly out
most
here.
do,
Yeah.
not everywhere. But there they run an election all the way up to chief. So each house or each company has their own chief.
That would be a fucking nightmare.
And then there's other departments that, you know, like I said, it's very different. A lot of different. I think Oyster Bay is like that too. It's like two separate.
Yeah, they have Atlantic Steamer Fire Company.
Yeah, like
and then
two
Oyster
different
Bay.
two different companies or departments under the same district.
I think Merrick too.
And then there was one of the
It's like
departments that was
North
at.
Merrick. And
Is it Merrick, where each firehouse has its own trustees and board? They don't have like a fire commissioner.
I can't believe in a freaking 50-mile span, there's so many different ways of
Oh my
operating.
gosh!
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
What
and
the
then
fuck?
you know, like you know, you look at like North Amityville or something like Town of Babylon contracts to the fire company. I think North Lindenhurst is like that. You know, there's a lot of companies or
Yeah.
departments that run themselves, but they're contracted from the town.
It's so weird. It's the same job everywhere. And everyone's got
Yeah.
to fucking do something
It's just
different.
history. It's just the way it's been, and nobody changes it. And you know why, you know, authority having jurisdiction, all of that stuff. We've talked
Yeah,
about that
they can
before.
just do whatever they want.
They
yeah.
just do whatever, and you know, each is on their own. And then there's districts that, even though they have their own district, the department is still separate. There's companies that own the buildings, and the district leases space to put the fire trucks in them.
that I've heard of before.
Like,
yeah.
you know, there's departments in Nassau County that are like that, where, you know, they run their own firehouse. It's their firehouse. And the district puts the rigs there that they get to use.
I wish we ran our own firehouse. That'd
But
be
there,
awesome.
there is, like you said, I mean, there's a very wide margin or differences.
There's range of like organizational.
Yeah, I think to wrap this up for this particular topic, it's the departments that have chiefs that kind of run everything. It's a lot of work. I'm sure
It is a lot of work. And, you know, just to get on that, like my department, we decided to opt to have a board with a president, vice president, everything. And the intention was to separate it, but it never happened. Our chief is still the president, you know, and it's still, our chiefs are all on the board. And I mean, there's still elected people from the department that are on that board that oversee the finances, everything else for the 501c3 that we are. But that wasn't the intention, but that's the way it went.
Right.
So we haven't changed.
I guess it all depends on the needs of your department and if it's feasible to make that change. Like if you're looking to, say, take some of the administrative burden off of a chief's plate, then yeah, maybe see if you get a president involved there to run that. type
There's
thing.
a
So-
lot of work to be a chief in the volunteer service. I know Chief Richardson said this, and you know, I mean, if you're in a busy department that does quite a bit, you know, I remember when I was chief, I was putting in 50, 60 hours a week as a volunteer to get things done within the organization. It's a lot of work.
You hear that, Goose?
There's people that don't. There's people that don't do it. There's people that are like, hey, I only have 20 hours a week. That's all I can give. And you know, that's when these departments fail. I think a lot of that, when we talk about leadership and everything else, administratively, I think the volunteer fire service hurts a lot. I think we need more administration, not really, you know, but just overseeing the way things are done.
Right.
What do you think? What do you say to the chief, the guy who goes through the ranks, but he just doesn't have time? Like, you were putting in that much time. You made it work with kids and work and all that stuff. What about someone who just can't?
Like I said, I mean, sometimes it's, you know, people just kind of follow the coattails of other people, and other people just do the work for them. You know, there's people that just like to go on runs. You know,
Do
the
you
best
think
part of that job is going on the calls.
Do you think you could still be a good chief with not as much time?
To a certain extent.
But you think
But
time is a big...
I think time is a very important factor. And there's departments that have tried to alleviate some of the administrative duties, you know, and I know from when I was chief, my first time to second time was different. And from what it is now, from when I was on the board, you know, our fire district does a lot of stuff that they didn't do years ago, like administratively. They took over a lot of stuff administratively that we used to do personally.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I used to sort the mail as the chief. It's just the way it was.
Right.
We don't do that anymore. You know,
They've delegated some of it in my department.
we've delegated a lot of stuff.
Like a lot of chief's communications comes from a secretary. Mm-hmm. A lot of
We have a chief secretary.
I mean, all the recruiting efforts, a paid district employee does it. Not, I think it's part time, but
yeah, but like PCR reviews, QA, QI, you know, like there's so many avenues, you know, of the way we've done things, or taking over hose testing, or, you know, there's so many different things. Pre-plans, like we have people that take care of our pre-plans. We used to do that as volunteers.
Right.
We used to get a book. We were told we had to go out. We'd go to the buildings. We'd talk to the owners. We don't do that anymore. You know, so obviously, you know, I've been in the fire service quite a while, so I've seen a lot of stuff change. But people don't realize where we came from and how much we used to do compared to what we do now. And we still do a lot, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Call volume's gone up. There's a lot of other things we have to do. There's more apparatus, more tools to take care of. You know, there's a lot of
your
other
call
things.
volume's gone up. Well, you guys have EMS. So
We have EMS. It's mostly paid, but, you know.
Our
We,
call
we went
volume
from
is down.
3 ambulances at 3 stations to now 6 ambulances. I mean, it's just,
I was just talking
changing.
about this with someone. Our call volume's way down. We don't even get accidents. We don't, like, everything's down, even with all these main roads.
Well, didn't you guys
We don't
stop
go
the
to
response to BLS?
Alpha and Bravo MVAs we don't go to anymore unless requested. But like even but
well, you
not
don't do
even that.
EMS,
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think
That's a big help.
I think originally they responded as a BLS.
It is a BLS
Agency.
agency.
Yeah.
It still
There are
is.
departments that do that. They have a fly car. They'll send somebody
Well,
out. or
there's
whatever.
a I think Bohemia still does it, where they'll send it because they don't do EMS, like they don't have an ambulance, but they send rigs to EMS calls because they share that area with community ambulance, I believe it is.
Yeah, I don't know who.
So
covers
they
what.
go there as
Save
like
a community, maybe.
yeah,
Bohemia cover.
or is it
Might
yeah,
be.
but they'll send a rig to EMS calls to, I guess, stabilize a patient until an ambulance comes and.
And a lot of those agencies, those ambulance companies, run under the town. Like same thing. It's contracted service through the town.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Port Jeff Volunteer Ambulances supported by the town of Brookhaven. So it's
The hospitals do it now too.
It's a different
Yeah.
different way to do it.
Or maybe not hospitals, but like Northwell has its whole ambulatory thing.
Yeah, and then it's all
But
contracted.
like you said, there's such a wide range just on Long Island, and you know, I know a lot of people have said different things, and you know, there's a lot of money off Long Island that goes to New York State, and you know, people keep talking about Long Island becoming the 51st state. You know, not
I've been talking
Canada,
about it
Long
forever.
Island. But the economy, the amount of people here, everything else, we could be our own state
For
You
sure.
know, we're bigger than Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Like Rhode Island's a state. I don't know how close we are to Delaware, but we're pretty big.
I'm pretty sure Long Island's more populous than Ireland.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Think
but
so?
I mean,
There's over 8 million people on Long Island.
yeah, I think it's
New
more
York City
populous
has 8
than-
million people during the day.
I remember reading that somewhere, but again, can't trust anything off the internet. Next topic, kind of similar.
Can't trust you on the internet. What?
Chiefs versus commissioners. Who has control over what?
It is more. 5 million in Ireland.
There you go.
Wow. Jesus. What was that? Say it again.
Chiefs versus commissioners. Who has control over what? I feel like that's kind of self-explanatory, but
Yes and no. It's so the fire district. If you have a fire district and commissioners, the commissioners are fully responsible and in charge of the entire department operation. Anything that happens within that district. Now, once there's so even when you have an election is, even though it's done on your department level or however it's done, it's only brought to the board. The board has the overall say. They don't have to approve your chiefs or officers.
Right.
They could say, nope, he's out. Put somebody else in. So, you know, and this has happened multiple times, and even with my own department, and it went all the way up to the state, and, you know, things happen from time to time, but you can look it up. It's basically like case law now, but the fire district is ultimately in charge of everything. They can look at your finances. They can tell you if you can do a fund drive or not. Everything has to be approved by the Board of Fire Commissioners. under New York state law.
So I've noticed departments all around. There's some departments that chiefs and commissioners work very well together, and then there's some where it's just oil and water in that room. Why do you think that is?
There's a lot of different reasons to it. You know, some of it is power. You know, and when you look at our own government, right, everything's about power and control. In the end of the day, I hate to say end of the day, I do it all the time, but the Board of Fire Commissioners is ultimately responsible to the taxpayer.
Right.
And to that department. So they can decide to contract other people in. They can get rid of a volunteer fire department. There's so many things, just like a city council.
It just seems like there's been arguments out there where a chief requested something that helped the members, so to speak, whether it was training or something along those lines, and it gets denied by commissioners. And I know you've been in both positions. So just from your standpoint, have you ever had the type of situation where a chief came to you about something that maybe from a firefighter's perspective you thought was a good idea, but from a protection of the taxpayers you were kind of going the other way with it?
No, not really in that sense. I mean, we've had chiefs come forward with things that we didn't approve. You know, I mean, everybody wants to spend money and do certain things. Some things are not necessary. But, you know, you have to look at it as the overall. What's the most important thing, or what's the priority as things go down the line? There's a lot to it. And like I said, you're not always going to all agree. You know, when I was a chief, I had a tough board. And sometimes the board just would dead against anything I wanted to do. And there were other things they were very forward to do, you know, but a lot of it comes back to justification. If you can justify the reason of why it's so important, then you can do it.
I think this kind of goes back to that conversation we had about the departments working with like the mayor or town council. How would you say, I mean, based on this question, somebody has obviously got a reason that they submitted it, but what, in your opinion, is the best way to keep a good relationship with the commissioners since they have the overall say? If you're
Well, communication, I think, is the biggest thing. You know, if you communicate back and forth on a regular basis, go to the meetings, discuss things even offline prior to or after, you know, that's how things get done. You know, it's one of those things. We're in the people business. It's a relationship. You have to keep a good relationship. And, you know, listen, a commissioner cannot override a chief at a fire scene. The fire chief is in charge. Now, after the call is done, could the chief come before the board and the board do something about what the chief did? Yeah. If they feel it's unsafe or it's not proper, the board can. So you're still going to have to answer to the board no matter what you do. All right. And, you know, I've seen both sides of it, like I said, you know, and I got in an argument with a commissioner many years ago when I was a chief. And, you know, we were doing something or whatever. And I said, listen, if I tell them to drive that rig through that wall because that's what's needed at a fire scene, I can do it as the chief. And he goes, no, you can't. And I said, actually, I can. He goes, yeah, but you're going to pay for it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'll probably pay for it after the fact. But when you're on scene, if you can justify the reason of why you told them to drive that rig through the wall, you know, could you still be suspended or in trouble? Yeah, absolutely. But you're in charge at that scene. A commissioner can't come up to you and say, you can't do that on scene under the law.
Right.
So there's factors to each side.
I think it's still weird.
You're still going to have to answer to your board or your commissioners, no matter what you do or how you do it.
So is there even a line besides on scene?
Well, there's general municipal law. I mean, you can look up the general municipal law. That tells you what the chief's powers and duties are. And then you could also look up of when the chief is considered in charge. You know, and that's all been looked at, you know, on the state level, looking down. You can look at that. If the chief, and we got an opinion from the higher ups at the state many years ago of when is the chief considered in charge and on duty. And they came down with the opinion of if the chief is in district and available to respond, they are considered on duty or in charge.
That makes sense.
So that would be all the time.
Pretty much, not all the time, because sometimes they're not in district and not available.
No,
if you're at work or you're not around.
I'm saying like in the capacity that you're going to go be a chief, not at work, like
Yes.
when you're home.
But, you know, we got into, issues with our department, we said we want to see all the financials of the department, and the chief said, you don't have the authority, you can't do that. And we said, actually, we do. We want to see all the records.
Well, that's fine for like reasons of being corrupt or
And
something.
once
but-
they talk to all the lawyers are like, yeah, you got to show the commissioners.
So that would include fundraising.
Absolutely. The board
Even
has
at-
to
even-
approve any fundraising that your department does.
I think financially
Yeah.
that's fine because people could be freaking robbed at like doing fundraisers and taking the money.
Oh, yeah, I
that's
mean,
fine.
you've
Oh, it
seen
happens
it.
all the time.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
I
We've
think the
seen where
biggest-
people have stolen
I think when
money.
it comes to like operations and personnel, I feel like that should be all the chief because like my chain of command, I don't report to the board. I report to the chief. So why am I going to report
Because
to
it's
the
a
chief?
it's a stepping stone. So the board looks at the chief as being in charge of the department, and could they call you in front of the board? Absolutely,
But
they
the
can.
chief still doesn't have like 100% freedom or power to
No.
to do what he wants with his personnel.
No.
I think that's a little weird. I think he should.
Well, like you said, when you look at New York State and the way the laws are written, like I said, and I've said this many times, the board
then why would you ever
and
run for
fire
chief? Might as well just run for
commissioners
commissioner.
have the ultimate power. They have too much power. I will say it. I
Yeah,
will
too
continue to
much,
say
yeah.
it. They really do. But the way New York State looks as a firefighter, whether they're volunteer paid or anything else, they're an employee of the fire district. We are all employees of the fire district. So when you look at the hierarchy, you are an employee of the fire district. The fire district can talk to any employee that they have.
Yeah, I just think there's no line.
Yeah,
Why would you run for chief? Might as well just run for commissioner.
Well, if you get along with your board, or you can still run your personnel and your people and everything else, but could the board call in individual members and question them? Yes, they can. Absolutely. They are the employer.
yeah.
next.
It's one of those areas, but look up the general municipal law. It tells you and spells out what the chief's authority and jurisdiction and duties are, and it's all right there. You can look at town law, you can look at general municipal law. It's all there of who does what and how it's done.
Next one.
Work well with your commissioners, and you won't have any
Yeah,
problems.
that's the way to
Well,
do
I
it.
don't want to say you won't have any problems. There's
Don't
no
run for
problems.
chief. Don't run for commissioner.
Departments holding off on dual response so they don't get beat in. Nope.
Yeah, I don't like
Say that
that.
again.
I don't like that.
Departments holding off on dual response so they don't get beat to their own.
Oh, that's stupid.
Calling
I
other
think
departments.
that's dumb. That it's not really much to go in with that one,
kinda
well,
vague,
and that
too.
comes
especially in
that-
today's day and age.
And that also comes back to, why are we here? We're here to serve the public and to the taxpayers, and a quick response is the best response you're going to get. I don't care who beats me in or who does it. I don't like it. I want to be there first, obviously, but we're there to help people, life and property of our community. So if you're more worried about getting beat in, then figure out a way to not get beat in.
Yeah, and here's the other part. You see this more nowadays than you did 10 years ago.
Oh, there's a lot of automatic aid, mutual aid.
Departments now have really ramped up the automatic aid.
We just redid ours. Yeah, 5 to 5.
Oh, so you guys are even still doing it.
Yeah, any 13, 35, or 13 with smoke coming out of a window.
Yeah,
a
anything-
report that's something
yeah.
like whoever is IC
Probably
can
like
go
or
with Auto Mutual.
or
We
is
get
it-
an
is it
automatic
mutual?
engine on any Delta or Echo call.
Yeah, usually
Right.
it was like the dispatcher's discretion. Like if it comes through as a report of, they'll send 2 different departments. But you're seeing that because of the issues of people getting rigs out. That I remember, like almost 15 years ago, a couple departments on the South Shore started doing that. They were like the first ones to
We've
really.
been doing it a long time.
But yeah, it's dumb to hold off on your dual
Well, that's the
response.
same thing where the chief won't call the neighbor that's the closest because
Yep.
I don't like them,
Right.
which is the
That's
most
crazy.
idiotic and ridiculous thing
Did I
I've
ever
ever
remind-
seen
And
and heard.
that could be a
Did I
potential
ever bring
lawsuit.
this up on here that we had a auto mutual policy in 2021 when our rescue truck was at Monisquan, which is Rescue 1, right? Monisquan, New Jersey? Is that Rescue 1?
sure.
So the truck was there swapping tools, so the rescue was out of service. The auto mutual plan was, I don't know, it was like on the south side of town. They were calling like the north side department. Meanwhile, the south side department was closer. Some like weird shit.
I could see to some, because that's how you should model it. Like
just drop a
whoever's
pin.
whoever's closest in that
Yeah, we
area.
broke
But
ours into quadrants,
if
but-
there is a certain, like, if the one department that's closer either doesn't have that type of apparatus or doesn't have the type of tools that are required, then I can see.
Depends on the size of your district too.
Yeah, that's the
You
other.
know, like
or,
my
or-
district is very large.
easiest
when we
access.
first started our automatic mutual aid, we were just doing it with one department, and I was like, "This is ridiculous. Why would they travel from one side of this district to
Mm-hmm.
another when you have somebody closer?"
Yeah.
So now we have it broken
Oh,
into
so you said
quadrants.
one. It was just go to, like they were the one, no matter
They
where
were the
call
one.
was.
Yeah, no matter how
Your
far.
giant district.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, if they get in an accident coming all the way across, we're going to look
Take
like
a half
idiots.
hour to get there.
Somebody else wrote changing firehouse culture. Not really sure what they mean by that. Kind of fits into a little bit of everything we've been talking about.
We've been talking about a lot of culture stuff, and it starts one step at a time.
Yeah.
It
And you
takes a
don't-
lot, but one person. A lot of people say, "I can't do it. I'm not an officer. I'm not this. I'm not that." One person
don't
can
have to
start
be.
making a difference.
For sure.
And once that gains from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and people start to see it and mimic it or start doing things, and same thing like I talked about with our Monday nights, our truck crew, it's getting more and more like it's starting to be a good culture that everybody starts hanging out on Monday nights.
Yeah.
I feel like it's cyclical. Like
Yeah.
the firehouse, like with the age of people coming and going. Like
It's
I don't
it's
know.
all waves back and forth. One station's hot, then the next station's hot. It goes around.
Phil, I got one for you. Fitness for first responders.
I think you should work out every day.
And whoever sent this in was talking about the 5th Division races. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so Stony Brook has the Monster Dash. Terryville has their run, I think is in... There's 3. So basically, Stony Brook and Terryville had a run, and now Setauket is doing a 5K run as well. So they're calling it the 5th Division group or whatever. They're
We
doing
got one
it as
too.
They're calling it the FIT Division?
No,
or
no.
Fit? Did you
We're
just
in
your
the-
accent?
Well, we're in the 5A division, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But-
You guys get all fucky out there.
But they're starting a race group. So we're kind of showing everybody together.
Race or racist group?
Race.
Oh, okay.
I mean, look, that goes back
What
to
did they
Nobody-
call
nobody
it?
caught that.
What do you call it?
that goes back to Firehouse Culture.
Yeah, what do they call it?
They just did the 5th Division races.
The races, yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to Firehouse Culture, and kind of ties in like fitness for first responders. Yes, is very important. These departments are having these
Yeah,
5K
so we
races.
have ours in September. I think it's ours, Stony Brook, and then Terryville. I
But
think
you guys
ours
are all kind of
vice
doing it
versa.
together?
Yeah. Well, they're all separate, but they're kind of together. Like
Gotcha.
if you do all 3 of them, they're doing something.
Yeah, it reminds me similar of what Huntington was doing with the 5 and under challenge. They
Yeah, I
have
like that. Yeah.
yeah, like that's how you change your firehouse culture. Get like the other fire departments involved, which makes more sense if you're doing automatic aid, dual response. Get the departments
Yeah.
to know each other. Like that's how you do it. But
Well, we should give a shout out then to West Sayville as well. Won the state.
oh
drill team
yes, that's
tournament.
right. Congrats! Shout out
The,
West Sayville Fire Department.
Yeah. So
I want to
West
shout out this
Sayville.
dude again on the fitness thing, Dr.
Flying-
Daniel Higuera.
the Flying Dutchman,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I saw
West
that.
Sayville one.
This dude posts every single day all different topics of like caffeine and nicotine and mask fatigue, like just crazy shit. Like all.
Who is that?
Dr. Daniel Higuera. He's a college professor of kinesiology. Is that how you say that?
Genealogy.
Yeah, I don't know. PhD in sports medicine.
Yeah.
He's from Stanford, California. And he just posts so much
Wait,
shit.
is he an older guy?
A lot
Nah.
of people post a lot of shit.
I don't think he's.
Is it worth anything? That's
Yeah, but it's all fitness, substance. Like,
Because I just watched. There's this documentary on Netflix about that show Biggest Loser.
I watched
remember that?
shit
Oh,
today.
I saw that was on
Wasn't-
Netflix.
Isn't that the
Cameron's-
doctor's name? The doctor that was on that show?
He looks probably in his
No,
30s.
no, it's not that guy. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's so important. Like, this is a strenuous job.
yeah. Well, think about
Well,
if
it's
you're
a young person's job. First off, as you get older, it gets more and more difficult. You slow down a little bit, but yes, I think fitness is extremely important in order to maintain and being able to work.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this with, as of recently, it was cancer that surpassed heart issues
heart
with
issues.
firefighters as the number one
But
cause
there's
of
still a
death.
lot.
But the heart issue problem comes with having good cardio, being fit.
Cardiovascular,
As
yeah.
long as you're doing something that's active, because if you're just not being active at all and you're not used to running or exerting energy, and then you go to a working fire, like that is not like going for a run where you're going to be like out of breath and sweaty and, oh my God, I can't do this. You have the stress that's on top of you now, the stress of doing the actual job of firefighting. You're working physically, you're moving heavy shit around, you're trying to move quickly, so that's getting you winded. And then the heat. Those are like the three catalysts right there for
just
for
putting
heart
your
attacks.
turnout gear on, right? You're wearing a snowsuit in the middle of summer sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's increasing your body temperature, and going into a fire is going to increase your body temperature, which puts more strain on your body and your heart.
What did you
Right.
say? Top causes of death? One surpassed another?
Cancer.
Cancer surpassed heart attacks as the number one killer in firefighters.
So this is, do you know what year that you're getting that from? This says 2023 occupational medicine. Top 5 causes of death among firefighters. 1 is cardiovascular, then cancer, then respiratory disease, then suicide, then traumatic injury.
The problem with
So I don't know what date it's published, but
Well,
I thought it was
the
fairly
issue with
recent when I
cancer
heard
is, when people die of cancer, it's a lot of people don't look at it as line of duty because it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's over time,
It's over
typically.
time, right? When you have a heart attack or a car accident or you get killed in a fire, it's very quick. It's acute. So you see it right away. A person gets hurt. If you die within that 24-hour period of going on a run, right? That's all considered line of duty. When you have cancer, right, it's usually over time, and you die at home, and people don't look at it as line of duty. But if you look back and say, if you look at why firefighters die, cancer is one of the top causes.
see, this is
all the
interesting
time.
shit that he posts. Firefighter shift schedules and sleep quality.
Yeah, that's been a big
Well, sleep
topic
is a
lately.
You know what the
big,
best
big issue.
He rates the shift schedules. There's 24, 48, 48, 96, and Kelly. What's a Kelly schedule?
Kelly day. You get a Kelly day off.
What does that mean?
So you work a certain amount of days, you accumulate too many hours in a work cycle. So they give you a day off with pay, basically. That's a Kelly day.
So he says 24 to 48 is the best sleep quality shift that if you have worked that shift. 48, 96.
24 on, 48 off?
Yeah. And then 48, 96 is second place, and Kelly's the worst sleep quality rank.
24/72 is probably the best.
I was going to say, I think that
Schedule.
number
Yeah, that's not even on
sounds
here.
familiar.
Yeah, 24/72 is
They were
probably
talking
the
about
best.
it as far as quality of life, too.
Yeah.
That's a good
Well,
schedule.
sleep is a big factor in everything you do. When you're a firefighter, you're not usually getting a good sleep cycle, and that's the problem. So in volleys, it's even harder if you're a busy department getting up in the middle of the night all the time. Your heart gets very stressed.
I was just going to say,
You
cardio.
go from basically 0 to over 100% heart rate in a second or two. So that alarm bell goes off and it's like, boof, And, when I was getting off,
Not for everybody.
Yeah.
when I was retired, they had just started changing a lot of the voice alarm tones for alarms in the firehouse, that it starts off with a lower tone and then increases, gets louder, instead of the super loud tone right away to wake you up. And what that does is it pulls you out of that sleep cycle a little easier and less strain on your heart.
Yeah, I remember, I think I talked about this. My friends used to grab my pager all the time, and they would just
Crank it.
fuck around with the knobs, and I wouldn't pay attention to it. Go home, throw it in the charger next to my bed, and the thing would be cranked all the way high. And it's like, beep, 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 beep. And I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yep.
Like
Those
it's-
tones are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's not even the tone. That's just
That's
the
just
alarm.
the chirp of the
Yeah.
thing going off.
Yeah, that shit's freaking.
What I've found that's worked very well for me now is
turn it off?
Well, I put this, I'm not, everybody's got a phone and stuff now. But if I wear my smartwatch and I set it up I have the sleep mode on this thing, but only certain text messages come through.
Yeah.
I have the watch on vibrate. It'll vibrate if it goes off, the text message comes through, and that wakes me up instead of the loud pager.
I have a custom vibration for the red alert page that comes through. You can set a custom like
Oh, yeah,
pattern.
the
I've
newer,
I've
yeah.
custom tones and stuff, but
Yeah.
I didn't know you could change the vibrations.
Yeah, you can for certain like my contact is saved as whatever the random digits are, and I set it like the vibrate pattern is like bzzz, bzzz, so I know because it's not like a phone.
Of course,
call.
the tech guy knows.
Yeah.
I'm the old guy that doesn't know anything about it. Can you
Here's
set my phone up?
here's the next one.
It's easy to do.
Companies being canceled on the way to calls and not getting full reps in on runs.
So that is a big issue, and I've seen that even within my own department. I've seen it in other departments as well, and I think it is in some ways hurting us a bit. So the chiefs get there quick, they turn everybody around, and nobody's going through the motions.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you have to have people continuing lights and siren and all this other stuff, but when the chief sits there and says, stay on the rig, I'm checking it out, don't go through the motions, I think we're losing a valuable training opportunity to go into these buildings to see what's going on. The chief gets to go in the building all the time. He gets to see what's happening, right? If you're just sitting on the rig outside, you're never going to learn these buildings. You're never going to learn alarm systems, and that's one area I do want to talk about on this podcast eventually. One of the areas I think we fail a lot at in firefighters and officers is not learning what you're looking at when a fire alarm panel goes off. And when you're now that person standing there, you're like, what is this? What am I looking at? What is a trouble? What is an actual alarm? What's silence mean? You have to understand the way an alarm system works. You have to understand the way a sprinkler system works. So you need to get out. You need to get out of your comfort zone and start learning areas that you haven't. And chiefs that continually get out there fast and run and never let people continue in, we're missing valuable training opportunities for people to learn.
And there's all different ones.
Absolutely.
I mean, having an area like this, they call it Sprinkler City because it's freaking just nonstop automatic alarms. But like some are more complex than others. Some buildings are like more friendly with it, where they'll actually put like a little cheat sheet on the panel, so you can.
Some
at
are
least,
fully
for like-
addressable. It tells you everything
at
right
least
on the
just silence
system.
the thing.
The craziest one I've seen, alarm panels at Hofstra University, it's an Acme panel. So it's a bell system, like the bells that just, like the old school bells.
Yeah, like it's like a spring. Almost.
Yeah, and you have to be careful with it, because I remember we would work on them, and in order to like work on a specific, say a smoke detector or something like that, you would have to actually short out the panel with a piece of cardboard. There's like these little knobs you have to pick up and put cardboard in there to cut the circuit.
So it doesn't make contact?
So it doesn't make
Or
contact.
break the circuit.
Yeah. But what's interesting over at Hofstra is they have something like that, which I believe is in their, like the student center, which is like the cafeteria area. But then the towers they have over there are like Edwards type panels, which they'll tell you exactly which number smoke detector is going off in what room.
Yeah, fully addressable systems.
And then you have the probably most common, and you'll see these in like strip malls. They'll have like the zone alarm panels.
Correct. Certain zones,
Yeah.
certain wings, certain areas.
Yeah, which are more like, okay, this is saying that it's zone 4, and zone 4 is this part of the building, so we got to search that entire part of the building and look for whichever one's got the solid red light
You
on.
definitely have a lot more exposure to this because you worked on those systems at one point, right?
Yeah.
I'm like a victim of. I was the guy sitting outside.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're in the chief's car and you're like, oh, now I got to figure
Yeah.
this shit out.
Well,
you
the
know?
thing is, because
And then having keys to panels, or having an Allen key to if pull station. Sometimes it's a key, sometimes it's an Allen key. So you got to reset those. There's
Yeah.
a lot to know, and that goes with just the building, understanding where to go in a building, what to look for, what is it a solid light, is it a blinking light, is it there's so many factors. And
yeah, and even too, like one thing that was big out here in the industrial park is something had come through as a water flow, and
I don't see anything in here.
you pull up to a building, you got a water gong that's on the side of the building. If that thing's going off, that means that it's an actual water is flowing through. where sometimes you have alarm systems that just kind of
Well, it could
trip
be a
up.
pressure surge, right? A surge
Yeah.
in pressure could cause it. It's
Yeah,
a clapper valve.
And you'll see that
know,
on
and
the
then-
trouble alarms
But even
too.
sprinkler systems, is it a wet system? Is it a dry system? Is it a
Right.
deluge system? Like there's so many factors that you need to know. We teach some of this in Firefighter 2 program. People say, oh, I don't need Firefighter 2. I took Firefighter 1. Phil? No, I'm just breaking your shoes.
Never
But
heard of it.
it's good to start learning some of these areas and making yourself a better, more rounded firefighter. But you have to get out. You have to look at these buildings. You have to go to these systems and actually see it.
I know that the chiefs in my department, they would go if it was the typical middle of the run. We know what we're going to. They would just drive there normally, wait for the guys to get out, and let the guys know, like, take it in, signal 4, no lights, no sirens, because we kind of know what we're going into here, and then take them through, walk them through the building, understand the layout of the building, and then, like you said before, understanding the way that the panels work. Ultimately, if you're listening to this, if you're somebody who doesn't have experience with it, call a fire marshal. Fire marshals will know what to do with the panels. As long as you can get to silence it, find wherever the source is coming from. If there's nothing burning, if you can take a smoke head down, sure, go ahead and do that. It'll leave a trouble alarm on the panel, but if you don't take it off and you try to reset the alarm, it'll just trip again. And
It might,
it'll be
might
screwed.
not. Depends.
Yeah, it might not.
Depends on the system. It could be dust. It could be a bug. I mean, there's so many things.
There was one at the church, St. Thomas More. It was a fucking spider that laid eggs.
Really?
And
I didn't know.
the eggs hatched and spiders started crawling around, and it was a photoelectric smoke detector. So the minute that image is disrupted, it sets the alarm off.
Yeah,
Well,
and
I
it
think
was
it
just
was
a bunch of baby
Middle
spiders.
Island yesterday. They wound up making it a hazmat run, but a fire alarm went off. They had an unusual odor in the building. I believe they called Town of Brookhaven. Fire marshals came in, did an investigation, and it was a leak. I think it was a Freon leak or something from the air conditioning system that set it off. They had like a light haze in the building, but it turned out it was the Freon leaking or whatever from the air conditioner, and that's what caused the fire alarm to go off. So, sometimes, that's something we don't have a meter for. If you don't have a Freon meter, how are you going to know?
And that's a big one too
So
with the
it-
HVAC systems. 'Cause
HVAC,
they'll
refrigeration
shut off.
in supermarkets, stuff like that. So there's all different factors that we could be walking into.
Even if you don't have something that could detect Freon, a multi gas meter, it should come up as CO. Like
Not always.
but it'll still disrupt the normal oxygen. It's not going to be, what is it, 20%?
It may or may not. I mean, so your oxygen could possibly go down because it could be displaced depending on where
Yeah.
you are or how much
It'd be
refrigeration.
more so displacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you might not see it. I mean, you could still have a smell or an odor or even a haze and still see no change in oxygen. It really just depends on concentration.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors to it. But, getting the members out on the road, getting them into the buildings, and I'm not saying make everybody respond lights and sirens, but chiefs that turn out very quick sometimes turn people away, I think, way too quick.
I remember-
And we're not learning. Where, when we had chiefs that didn't really respond or weren't around a lot, the members got out a lot more, so there's factors to everything.
Guys argue that a lot of the 13 automatics should be 23 automatics. Because
changed
it's-
ours to
a lot of
23.
it's like, it's not a 13 if it's like some electric sensor. It's just a miscellaneous.
It could
alarm.
be, and that's, it's catch-22. Like, it's a number.
Yeah.
It's still a fire alarm.
Well,
so it could be a fire.
I think the caveat to that would be when you get a smoke detector activation, heat detector, duct detector, whatever it is, pulse station, and chief goes out or whatever, there's no report coming in from dispatch. Probably a typical run-of-the-mill automatic alarm, but usually dispatch gets a call from that central station, and if they tell them, hey, we got 4 smoke detectors popping off in this one section of the building,
Yeah, it's more.
yeah, like, okay, that might be
Right,
something.
multiple heads, multiple
Yeah.
zones.
It's like
It
indicative
could
of-
be. I mean, but
instead of
same
a
thing.
fault, it's
You know,
like
you could
something.
you could have a steam leak that could set off multiple detectors.
For sure.
It could be anything. But I mean, when we look at numbers and codes, and some people have gotten away from it totally, right? Go standard terminology, right? Instead of all these codes, You know, when we switched ours from 13 to 23, but even 13, right? You bang out a call, signal 13, structure fire. Is the structure really on fire? If anything, it's probably a contents fire. It's not a structure fire. It's a contents fire. Can it get into the structure? Yes. But we dispatch it, signal 13, structure fire. It might not be a structure
Got to
fire.
get the guys going, though.
Anything should get you going. You get an alarm, you should be going,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I'm just saying, like,
You
you know.
just get toned out for just a 35.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
clicked the wrong button. Just a working
Oops.
fire.
Yeah.
Sorry, disregard.
Yeah.
But yes, you know, but getting out and seeing buildings and getting involved, and this is one of the things where I say be a firefighter every day. When you're out and about, you're walking into different buildings or stores in your neighborhood, take a look around, you know. I'm very Buffy. I look at everything. I look at fire extinguishers. I look at my exits in a hotel. I did it in Aruba. I walk down the hall and make sure it's good, you know. Is there standpipe hookup in that stairwell? Yes, there was, you know. I know where to go. But, you know, you should always be aware. Look at the way buildings are constructed. Every time I go somewhere, a restaurant or something, I'm looking up. I'm like, what's that ceiling made of? It's skew decking. You know, what's there? Is it
Yeah.
wood? It's looking at buildings and structures and understanding construction. It just makes you a better firefighter. So, you know, you're out there every day. Don't just put the blinders on and walk by and say everything's great every day. Look for things that can hurt you.
Speaking of which,
Everything's not great. The world is out to get you.
Well, especially when you travel to other countries.
the last
Or different states, they have different building codes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it really safe?
the last topic that I have on here kind of relates to this: hoarder house conditions.
Oh, yeah, that's always a problem.
So this is a big one for any department that also runs EMS. If you go to the craziest thing that I experienced is going into a neighborhood for an EMS call, standard neighborhood, nice neighborhood. You show up, the house looks nice, and then you get inside and it's a fucking shit
Oh,
show.
yeah, I've had plenty of them.
And there's probably more in your anybody who's listening. There's probably more of those in your district than you think.
I always tell people and after doing EMS, you never know who your neighbors are.
100%.
You have no idea what is going on.
And-
We have plenty of them in my district, and we're a pretty affluent community.
Yeah, for that
We
though,
just had a little fire in one, you know,
Yeah.
a couple months ago. We talked about it a little.
For hoarding, and not even just hoarding, like weird shit. Did you go to that fire probably 10 years ago with all the dash hounds?
the dachshunds.
Yeah, the tiny guys, yeah.
Well, they had
Yeah.
the cat house down
the
in what,
freaking
Shirley,
wiener dogs.
whatever?
Yeah, there was the cat one out in like Mastic or
Yeah,
something.
Mastic Shirley or something.
It's like, what are people doing?
They had like 40 cats in the
Yeah.
house
Yeah.
or something.
I would say though, if you go on an EMS run, walk into a situation like that, report it to dispatch.
Well, see
right off the
something,
bat.
say
Have
something
have
right away.
Have
Put
them
it in the computer.
Yeah, just put it in the notes, because when you do get a fire, now you know what you're going into, and your risk versus reward gets a lot crazier when it comes to a hoarder house situation.
So there's different levels, you know, and New York City changed their terminology. A lot of people just say it's a Collier's mansion because, you know, back in the day, that was the name of the person that had a Collier.
Yeah, which is that's a wild story.
So,
those
you know,
those guys.
and there's different levels. So, you know, like New York City now calls it clutter.
Yep.
And it's light clutter, medium clutter, heavy clutter. That's how they consider it. So you make a determination when you go in there of what level clutter you believe it is. And listen, you could go in there and it could be like a light to medium clutter, and then there's other rooms that are heavily packed. So you got to watch. So that's one side of it. So understanding that and navigating, and you know, and I've been in some of these buildings. I almost crawled out a second floor window at a fire one day, not realizing that I was kind of going up as I was going on top of the clutter. And I thought I was heading towards a doorway which there was fire in, and turned out it was the window was not there, and the clutter was right to the windowsill level. And I started moving, and the last second I realized it was a window, but I thought I was going into I could see fire, but it was out another window outside that I was looking
climbing
at.
on top of.
I was on top of clutter, 3.5 feet in the air.
Dude, do you remember
I don't even know if
And it was
remember
so
the one-
smoky in there. And to tell you the truth, there were cats, and I came out, my gear, I smelled like cat piss. It smelled disgusting. When
I
got
would be
back.
nervous to climb on top of shit.
But you didn't even know you're
probably-
on it. Like, you're just climbing through in a smoke condition. You're crawling. You don't realize that you're up
Were
that
you
high.
there for that fire where the guy killed himself?
Yeah.
That one.
That one, they had the fucking doors locked.
Yeah. So
Chains and padlocks around the
Oh, yeah.
doors.
yeah, they
front
got
and back.
that guy. So the neighbor heard the window explode from self-venting and looked out our window, sees flames coming out. They call 911, fire's spreading, neighbors start calling in. We're pulling up, and they're like, there's a guy that lives in there by himself. His car's in the driveway, so we know he's home. So we go running in there, trying to find this guy. I'll never forget that he had 3 lawnmowers in his living room.
Oh, yeah.
Just sitting there.
You'll
There
find
was shit
propane
everywhere.
tanks. You'll
What
find
year was that?
generators.
That was probably like 6 years ago, because that was my last fire I went to with Hot Dog.
2019 maybe, 18, 19.
Yeah, probably 2018, because that was the last fire I went to with Hot Dog. But I remember going up to one of
That
the
was a good one
bedrooms.
too.
Yeah,
my gear got
thing was-
condemned at that one.
That was ripping, that one.
I've probably been in hundreds of these things.
Yeah,
It's-
but I-
it's amazing.
All
how
right,
many-
man. All right.
No,
but
I'm
the-
serious. There are a lot, whether it's an EMS run, a fire run, whatever. You know, I've been to EMS runs where it was literally a path to the bed and the person's having a heart attack.
Yeah.
That's kinda how this one was. There was a
and that's,
path.
you know, that's getting back to it. Like you see it, say it, get in the computer. You know, we had a fire a few years ago. I mentioned this, and I think we were talking about it under the hazmat part, but I was not there. Beautiful house, probably worth $1 million. It was a Chinese guy. He had all ink cartridges stored in the house to the ceiling, and they had a fire in there. And luckily, we had been in the house previously. It said right in the text says ink cartridges to the ceiling, exterior only, exterior attack only. And they had started going in before they even had the information. But the house wound up burning to the ground. I mean, it was literally ink cartridges to the ceiling in every single room, including the basement.
What's ink, man? It's like a petroleum product, right?
Yeah, so the water that was running down the street was all different colors. Pink, yellows, you know, cyan. It was like insane. You know, DP, everybody had to come in. But it was an utter mess. But it was total clutter to the ceiling in every single room.
That's
Like,
wild.
and this guy was living in there.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't know what you're going to come across. You don't know what you're going to see. And like I said, we've had many, many, many fires in these buildings. Just identify, you don't have to call college manager, figure out how much clutter's in there, evaluate it, reduce your personnel, look for other access points or ways to get in and out for egress, and just be very, very careful. I mean, the one we had like a month ago, the front door only opened about 10 inches because there was a chair behind it and a bunch of clutter.
That's what I was going to say. That's a big one. We had another one years ago where there was a bunch of garbage bags stacked behind a door.
Sometimes
so you
it's
could
closed.
Yeah, so you could open the door, but like you're kind of like if it's definitely happened at your house where you have something that's just behind the door and you can push the door open to get through it, but then the minute you let it go, it's gonna
Push back.
It's gonna push
Yep.
back. When you're in
That's
a
when I hang
situation,
hang sweatshirts
yeah,
and
or hang
jackets.
sweatshirts, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
a
makes
perfect example. But like something like that with the garbage bags, well, if you're coming through with a hose line and that's the situation you have, like you better make sure that you have eyes on that doorway, and depending on the shit in the house, like if it's one of those paths, again, that's your risk versus reward right there. Like this guy that we were talking about before, the guy that killed himself, he lit his house on fire and then shot
He
himself.
had killed himself, then lit the house on fire.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, we go in there, and the neighbor's like, that guy's in there. We know he lives there, and you know, we obviously wound up finding him in the fire room after we had
That
put
house,
it out.
I remember there was fire everywhere.
Yeah.
In every wall. Freaking, I remember I was on the first search team. We busted the door down. We took a few steps in. The path of fire completely changed. The fire was on the first floor in the 1-2 corner. We broke the door down. The second we did that, we took like 3 or 4 steps in, and then just whoosh, the fire went up over our
Well,
heads.
most likely all the doors are open, so
Yeah.
from room to room.
We found the fire right away. It was just freaking left-hand lead. Like there was a very small hallway right there. The hose that came in behind us, we went around on the 4 side. Same thing, freaking doors locked, lawnmowers, like a bunch of random shit in the living rooms. The chief and a captain at the time who had a chief's car, they actually went in and had jumped out a window
Yeah, I remember that.
because it just started getting hot and they beat the chiefs there. I mean, they beat the engines there, obviously. And they went in and like there was a reported person inside, so they went in. You know, they didn't have a line in place. I know that's like a thing.
You got to be extremely careful.
But they ended up he just took his helmet. He didn't take his helmet off. He freaking broke a window, and you see it in the pictures. You see he had a flashlight on his helmet. You see it in like a front bay window, and they jumped out into a bush.
Yeah, I remember that.
What I will say is this, you know, obviously you got to pay attention. Situational awareness is key. Don't be afraid if you have to take a door off the hinges and put it down as a platform for you to move or operate on. You take a couple doors and you put it on top of the clutter and you can move your way through the building. That's one thing. The second thing is don't take stuff and just throw it indiscriminately. If you take stuff and throw it, you're probably going to knock something down.
Yep.
So either remove it from the building to make access rather than do that. So, you know, I've had to squeeze my way through a door, get inside, move a bunch of debris, and then this way we could open the door fully or take the door fully off. The other thing, too, is when you're crawling on this stuff, it could be hollow below. So now you're starting to crawl, and then all of a sudden you fall in, and now you can't get out. So that's where the doors and stuff, making yourself a platform or to operate a line on, you know, put the door down, put the nozzleman or the backup person on that door, and now you can operate and get so. But you just have to be extremely careful because
fucking hyped
you
up.
start going through a space or it's stacked to the ceiling, that stuff comes down on you or it gets on top of the hose line. You got to keep the hose line in the air, you know, so get a bunch of people either hold it up or put it on top of doors, because once it gets underneath all that stuff, the line ain't moving anymore, and
Right,
you're not
yeah.
getting it back out. So keeping the line up. So there's so many things we could teach you. Actually, Timmy Klett, Lieutenant Timmy Klett, he was in 88 Engine, does a phenomenal hoarders class, and he talks about this stuff, about the clutter and how to operate and get around inside these buildings. But limit your personnel, be very careful, be optimistic, but be very cautious, and get this stuff into your computer system so you know what bedrooms they live in, know how you can make access. Sometimes it's better to put a ladder up or go in a window than it is try to come through the front door.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
Be very careful.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up episode 30.
Wow,
30.
it's over an hour already.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Jesus,
when you
time
when,
flies.
When
when
I'm
you
not
give-
controlling this shit, these conversations are great. I've been missing out.
Yeah,
Freaking
well, this
looking
one,
at my computer.
This one too. The like the last one we did when people been sending in all these.
I do notice there's been a lot of responses on the
Yeah,
things.
so it's like
good, though.
It changes up
good
the
information.
Yeah, it's not like a one long episode about one.
So
thing.
we might have a guest next week. So
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
we'll probably have a guest. But we'll continue to take comments and suggestions and stuff to talk about.
yeah, we got the web form, and then
We'll
there's
give
the
you
social
what
media.
we can, and you know we can expand on some of the stuff as we go. If you want to get some more information, we'll try to share that with you.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
You know, it'd be cool. And I'll look into this. Be cool to do like a call in. I mean, not that we do this live or anything, but if someone could call us.
Yeah, I kinda
it's
thought
tough though
about that.
because you got to be very careful with that.
Yeah. All right, Kevin's scared. We're not gonna do that.
I'm not scared. It's just you got to be very careful. with
Goose
stuff
is gonna
like that.
call in.
yeah, Goose.
You guys are a bunch of fucking assholes.
Well, that's the thing. You get
douchebags.
the wrong person, and you know.
They used
if
to do
it's
it
the
to
right people-
Just hang up on him.
Mike Francesa all the time on his radio show. They'd call in. They'd be like, "Oh, it's so and so calling from whatever." They'd be like, "You fat fuck," and they'd hang up.
Yeah,
They'd be like, "Oh, we got a comedian."
Well, you know, and a lot of this stuff, like even radio stations and stuff, it's delayed. They have the caller call in, they talk, and then they record it, and then they put it out there, you know. But having people live, you know, you want to get proper information out, and you want to make sure it's correct.
Right. Okay.
All right, that's a wrap.
Sounds good.
Episode 30.
Nice.
Moving.
And shout out Ryan. We didn't shout out
yeah.
Ryan.
Oh, Ryan on the sticks.
All right. Cool.